What is happening in the next 5 years, 10 years? Do you know? We are entering a period of uncertainty. No, you don't know, and neither do I. But what we do know is from 2030, the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles will not be permitted. That's with a slight caveat that between 2030 and 2035, vehicles with the capability of driving a significant distance with zero emissions, meaning hybrids, will still be allowed, although that hasn't actually been formally defined yet. But what we are essentially saying is that in 5 years' time, the landscape of new campervans is going to be significantly different than what it is now. This topic brings out as much backlash as people talking about wet belt engines and clogged DPFs, crocs and dry robes. Everybody has an opinion, and I'd like you to share yours with me in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are and what you think the future is. Vehicle technology is improving all the time. Over the years, we've seen the petrol and diesel vehicles improve in efficiency, improve performance. I can think of various developments and enhancements over the last few decades that have made a big difference. With technology changing all the times, we can sometimes forget that it wasn't actually that long ago that we didn't have power steering, turbocharged engines, disc brakes, electric windows. I actually had a courtesy car a couple of years ago, and my son was totally amazed that it had windy windows. These developments are also happening with the electric and the hybrid vehicles. The ranges are improving, the battery management, quicker charges. There's quite a long history of electric vehicles, and let's not forget that the Transporter T2 had a fully electric variant. How many of you knew that? A lot has changed since then though, and even in the short period of the modern generation, we're still learning all the time. Well, when I say we, I don't mean me, I mean the clever engineers who are actually doing it. Like we previously extracted more and more power and efficiency out of the internal combustion engine, we're now doing the same with electric vehicles. Recently, I've even heard that some die-hard petrol heads, actually like myself, are actually coming round to EVs. They still aren't for everybody, don't get me wrong, but with the improvements, they are helping to win people over. Electric vehicles do need more thought. For years, we've been driving past fuel stations thinking, I'm going to go later. I will get some tomorrow. We all do it. I certainly do anyway. But we know that we can just pop in the fuel station, fill up, and within 10 minutes, we're back on the road. Probably with some snacks that we don't really need. But it's not a drama. Yet, with an electric vehicle, the thought process needs to be a little bit different, and not necessarily in a bad way. Depending on what journeys you do, you may never need to stop anywhere other than home or work. You won't be then picking up those snacks that you don't need, as you won't be stopping, if you only charge at home or work. Now, what does require more thought is those longer journeys. If we're doing a round trip, and we know that a stop is going to be required, we need to plan it, we need to think about it a bit more. We need to understand where the best place is to charge. It's not a major problem, it just takes a different mindset to do something different than what we've done for pretty much all our driving lives. A real life story coming up on that in a moment. Now, regarding campervans, there is a Facebook group with over 7,000 members. That's a VW ID Buzz campervans. That's quite a lot of members for a specific electric campervan group, just for the VW ID Buzz. We're seeing an increased number of campervan versions as people are looking for future alternatives. Night Custom Conversions made one for the Roman Radfords. Perhaps I should reach out to them to see what they think of it. I know they've had it, I think last February, March or so like that. So they've obviously had it for quite a few months now, so I'm sure they've had some journeys in it. There are also a lot of others. I know some of the current Volkswagen qualified manufacturers have the platform and they have been working on it. There are now conversion companies that produce ID Buzz campers in numbers. There is a variety of different layouts, fixed beds, sliding beds, pop tops, gas hobs, electric hobs. And I'm going to tell you what my preference would be in a moment. Now, the ID Buzz has recently had a refresh with some new models coming into the range. And I have to admit that I really do actually like the ID Buzz. And I often look at the prices. Now, especially with this GTX, because that is especially appealing. I do like it because it's got a bit more of a punch, even if it is a van. And I would love one as my daily driver. I drove the first edition when it came out originally, and I really, really liked it. Although I also quite like the Tiguan R as well, but that's a completely different end of the scale as far as economy and environmental spectrum. But more than happy if Volkswagen fancy lending me either of them long term. Yeah, if only. The GTX is the sportier variant, and it's got this really cool panoramic smart roof that changes at the touch of a button. Although that's not really going to be the model which the campervan's built from, but still it's very cool. Or actually, maybe it could with one of them I'll come on to. These new models have a bigger battery, up to 7 seats, an extended wheelbase, a longer range, and the GTX is all-wheel drive. But it's not just me who likes them though, and I've spoken to others who also have started to come round to it and have started to like them. And they've just won 2 awards in the space of 2 days. The ID Buzz 7-seater was crowned MPV of the Year at the 2024 Top Gear Awards, and it's also won the Best Van-based MPV at the What Car Van and Commercial Vehicle Awards 2025, even though it's still only 2024. It was commended for its versatility, which is something I often say about vehicles of this size. The ID Buzz, the Transporter and the Multivan. And yet I am really excited to see the new California soon. It won't be known now that that is actually going to be in our showrooms. This 7-seater brings the long wheelbase that has the bigger battery, providing an increased range of 291 miles on paper. This longer model, nearly 5 meters long, will also make an improved campervan over the short wheelbase models that a lot of the conversions up to now have been built on. It will provide more internal space, including allowing that longer pop top. I know structurally some of the short wheelbase ones have posed a little bit of problems to build on, so hopefully that's going to make things a lot easier, and hopefully now we'll see more and more of them. But it's not just full campervan conversions that are going to benefit from this increased internal area. It also will help the pod type setups. Outlandish campers have their modular setup, and they finish it off with a latitude roof tent for that extra space. It's like a house having an extension building a floor above and expanding the footprint with an awning on the side. Okay, so extremely coincidentally, I was just about to get ready to start filming this video and I had a delay. And I picked up my phone and there was a post on the dubbed out VW community from a gentleman who had gone from John O'Groats to Land's End in his ID Buzz, which was the one I'd seen by Outlandish Campers at the NEC. Anyway, he shared his real-world experience of his journey, which certainly answers some of the questions and concerns that some people have about electric vehicles being campervans. Some of the things he said were, he never had to wait for a charger. He didn't suffer from range anxiety. The chargers always worked, which has been one of the things I've always kind of questioned. The ID Buzz was good in the snow and ice, and this vehicle is fitted with all-terrain tyres. He also commented on it being quiet and comfortable, and the electric cooking, heating and coffee making all worked really well. It's very good to know, and it only just makes me want one even more. That is kind of what I really am being tempted by. A GTX for the additional power, 4-wheel drive and additional space. A removable pod type system so I can go to work, go shopping, do general lifestyle things, carry items inside the van, and then when I wish to go away, I can take breaks in it. The range is more than manageable for 99% of the regular journeys that I would complete on a regular basis without any additional thinking. Although the downside being the GTX isn't available in Bayleaf Green. Ah well, that's a small compromise I'm sure. I can't have everything, but I suppose I could wrap it anyway. And I said I have been looking at the prices of them, and there are some great deals on some nearly new models at Volkswagen dealerships. I have been looking quite a lot, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, if you didn't see the video where I showed the amazing Knight's Custom Conversions van, you can see that here. Or perhaps how to heat without gas or diesel. Take a look at this video here.